Tyler, welcome to the podcast. This is pretty exciting as you're one of the only people to have done two movies, three? How many have you done out here?
Two.
Okay, so you're in a small group of two. We got to make it a hat trick at some point. Get you out here for a third. But awesome to talk to you. You spent a lot of time out here with us in Syracuse. And so we're just doing this to talk to people who have been in our films, hear about their high school experience, ask them a bunch of questions, and get to know you a little better.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you don't watch movies or TV very much?
I don't. I really don't. It's really bad. Like, I have to, make it a habit to watch. Like, I only watch something unless I have to watch something. Like, I also don't even watch my own stuff.
Do you really not?
No.
What do you watch for entertainment purposes?
TikTok, unfortunately. I'm one of those people. No, it's just like during the day I'm like acting or doing something creative, and it's like I can't turn my brain off when I'm watching a movie or TV show. I'm like I feel like I'm watching them to watch, the craft of it. I'm watching the actors. I'm watching the scene. I'm analyzing the film. It's just like it becomes like exhausting for me. I can't turn that brain off. So watching movie and TV shows have become like a part of work, not like just pleasure. Unless I'm watching like SpongeBob or like South Park or something.
I don't think what you're saying is that different from a lot of the world today, especially people in your around your age. Like, people are getting their entertainment from their phones in sort of short ADHD bursts, right?
That's how I feel. Like, I have the attention span of a fucking peanut. Like, I read something, I watch them to 15 minutes, and I'm like, I went recently, and I went to Italy recently. I was working on a farm, and I had no connection, nothing. And it was probably one of the best things I've done because like I could not go to my phone or have any distractions. And I also heard this podcast where they talk about how important it is for us to learn how to get bored, and that these generations coming up now that we don't have an opportunity to learn how to get bored, and how so many of the best inventions and creativity have spurred from boredom. And I don't know what boredom is.
I love that you had to listen to the podcast because you were bored to tell you to get bored. It's like at some point they should have said, turn this off and just go be bored.
Outside.
Talking about Italians and your time in Italy, I think that's a good transition to asking you what was the name of high school you went to?
What kind of high school? So I went to...
What was the name of the high school that you went to?
I went to 3 different high schools. I went to LaGuardia High School and the big performing arts high school in New York. Yeah, I went there for only a year though. My freshman.
Was that the first freshman year? And then what made you switch 3 times?
I started working and they would not cooperate. Like, they almost like tried to kick me out because they don't want kids to listen to school. Luckily, they signed a law that protected young performers from high schools being able to do that. But I'd be down because I was on location in Miami filming for 3 months, and they would never send me my schoolwork. And so it'd be like 2 weeks I have nothing to do, and then they'd send me everything of like 3 weeks worth of work and expect me to do it in like 2 days. So it just wasn't. And also it was like I was also living, because my parents are divorced. My dad lives in the Bronx. My mom lives in Long Island. So I was commuting for like 2 hours to get to school when I was a freshman going there. I'd wake up at like 5:30 to catch like a 5:50 train, be up on the Upper West Side by 8 a.m. And I wouldn't get home again until like 7 p.m. And I was also auditioning in school. It was exhausting. I wish I could have stayed because it's such a great school. And obviously so many talented artists come out of there, like, Timothy Chalamet and whatnot. I only saw him in the hallways once. I did have a big
He was there the same time you were there?
Yeah, he was a senior. I saw him perform.
Was he like, fuck you, man? Well, you can't leave. That's our school rule.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving? Yeah. You got to finish this thing.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a crazy school. Going from like I grew up, maybe Jericho, Long Island. That's my second high school. So I went to Jericho.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly that. 2 different worlds. I mean, completely 2 different worlds in terms of diversity and everything. That was my second high school. And then, so I was there for most of high school, but then 1 year I did online school, which I did actually nothing for. Honestly, I uh, ended up paying someone to do my chemistry.
What was that first show that took you out of your first high school? Had you been auditioning for a while? How'd you get into it? Was it kind of life changing when you got it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I worked on Nickelodeon as a kid. Worked on a Nickelodeon show for like we did like 4 seasons, so that basically was like all of my high school, and that was crazy. I mean, I was a freshman. I don't know. I was like 15 years old, and I moving down to Miami to work on a show. Living, my parents, they had other kids, so they couldn't just like pick up and leave. So I had to hire somebody to watch me, and I had
Wait,
all
sorry, you had to hire
That's
somebody
fine.
to watch you?
You
yeah,
hired your own babysitter.
You hired your own babysitter?
yeah.
Can can we get into this for a second?
Yeah,
Explain that.
it's just because when you're underage, you have to have a legal guardian with you on set at all times. So I had to hire someone to watch me.
Is that a job? Like, meaning, is that a thing that people get into? Like, hey, I'm into guarding. I want to be the guardian of young actors. So I'm available. I have no job, and I'm gonna like, and then I get hired by a 14-year-old kid.
There were a few different people who watched me, um, and one of them I had like she would like log hours and everything. I would like, yeah, like she was great. And then it eventually ended up being my one of my castmates' sisters, who was already down there already, so she just kind of signed the papers, and kind of was my guardian, but not really.
What was the like interview process for your when you were hired? How old were you when you were hiring your guardian?
Down to do the job. I kind of need somebody now. It wasn't really that much detailed orientation or job.
And what was getting the show like? Were you? How did you get into that? Had you been auditioning for things? Were you doing
Yeah,
plays before?
I've been auditioning since I was like 13, I think, professionally, and then I did Olympic when I was like 15.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. It didn't feel like it. It felt like forever. That show like saved my life though, because I was so out of place when I went to LaGuardia. I felt like it was like such a different world, and I like didn't know anybody, didn't have friends, and um, super depressed. I was struggling with my sexuality at the time, especially being in LaGuardia where there were so many out people. Like it was just kind of like in my face at all times. And then so I got this show, and it kind of got me out of New York and got me out of my life. And I met like my best friends to this day. Like these are the people that I hang out with all the time from that show. And I feel that way about a lot of the projects I work on, especially the American High movies. I mean, like I hang out with Bella and Tila all the time, and and the first one I did with you guys, I see Joey Bragg all the time, and it's like I make these lifelong friends at every project that I'm on. Like I was talking to my boyfriend the other day. He's like, are all your friends actors? I was like, yeah, I guess they are. Because it's like this is I guess people meet you meet your friends at work. This is my work, so this is where I meet all my friends.
And everyone understands. It's a lot easier to. It's a lot easier when you are friends with somebody who understands that you suddenly have to get on a plane to go to Prague for 3 months, and and there's not even a question. They're like, oh yeah, of course you do. Like that's incredible.
Of course,
Which is also the best part. It's like you get to live in a hotel with all these people, and like on the weekend you're going out and having fun.
Homewood Suites.
The Homewood Suites. That is my favorite. That is. We joke about the Homewood Suites all the time.
Did you have a room with a fireplace in the Homewood Suites? I know
No,
that both. No.
not one of those.
Well, you wouldn't need it because I guess we shot Crush in the summer. But the best thing about the Homewood Suites is they have a fireplace in some rooms where you twist a dial to like set the timer, and that kicks the fireplace on. But the timer is maybe 5 minutes long and insanely loud. So if you want to relax with like a nice fire, you get 5 minutes, and it's like tick, 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 insanely loud, and then it dies, and you have to go do it again.
Oh, God.
It's the perfect
Dude,
setup.
their continental breakfast is amazing.
It is a good kitchen. That's right.
What is the continental breakfast there?
It's the best continental breakfast I've ever had. They have like, I would wake up early on purpose just so I could go get it, make a plate. They also ended up like knowing me so well because I've been there twice that they would like save a plate for me so I wouldn't have to wake up in the morning and do it if I had to, like, if we had like a later call time.
And their kitchen kind of just looks like a kitchen. Like their little where they serve the breakfast kind of feels like you're just in somebody's kitchen.
How did it compare to? So how does the breakfast at the Homewood Suites compare to the breakfast in Italy when you were having? Just if you had to choose one breakfast,
Oh, the homeless suites by far.
I think
It's they're also like, I don't want to knock on the family, but they're like mainly vegetarian. So it was like, it was always like,
Oh.
and fruit and stuff like that, which is super. I never felt so healthy in my life, but
you
I'm a fatty at heart. I
you
love,
probably like were like I love like in first like I love meat and they're like he don't eat the meat he doesn't eat the meat we
Yeah.
can't have meat around him he only likes a yogurt.
yeah. It was all like vegetarian and mostly vegetarian.
Having gone like having been kind of saved by kind of saved from high school and put in the Nickelodeon show that where you met all your friends, you sort of were taken out of your life. You were you didn't really get to have like you had a very different high school experience from the ones that we portray on kind of
Yeah,
a regular basis. And part of the reason why we love high school so much is the struggle that you went through in high school and how everything kind of looks like it's a gigantic like it's the most important thing in the world,
yeah.
every single day, what you're wearing, who likes you, who like. And so how is there anything that you looking back and is there anything like how do you describe your high school experience growing up making a TV show?
The people in my high school were all the people from my middle school, so they're all I already had like my friend group before I started working on TV. And I'd be gone for 4 months at a time. Then after I came home, I was right back into the normal swing of things, and go to school every day and yada yada yada. So I think I kind of got the best of both worlds. I mean, it was different because I'd tell like my teacher, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for 3 months, and they're like, what the fuck? Like every year at the beginning of the first day of school, I'm like, just so you know, I'm gonna leave at one point. Like, that was always like one of the first things I did.
That was like me with the Jewish holidays. I'd always come in and be like, I have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then I would like list like 12 Jewish holidays right out the bat. They're like, what? You're making shit up right now.
My whole high school was Jewish. Like it was 99%. I was the only one of the only Latino Catholic kids in the school.
Did you feel like different when you would come back? Or like, did people treat you differently?
Not really. I mean, how much of an asshole am I gonna be like if I say like, yeah, I had this different aura about myself? No, I don't. I mean, look, did it get me some more attention in high school? Yeah. Uh,
Did you wear sunglasses? Were you like,
yeah,
did
I
you wear
wore
sunglasses?
sunglasses coming into school.
Sunglasses inside at all times.
It's in the courtyard. And
Did you did you drive a did you drive a cool car when you got your first TV paycheck? Did you splurge on something?
I still drive the same car I had. My first car,
Which was?
Jeep Wrangler.
It's a good
Only
car.
because you know why I got it? Because the guy that I had a crush on in school, my high school crush had it, and I was like, I just want to have the same car as him.
I have a matching car.
Does he know? Did you ever tell you the guy? You had
No,
a
he
crush
doesn't
on?
know. My
What's
friend,
his name? Should we do a shout out right now?
hey, not
Guy from Jericho or from
Jericho. My friends know who he is.
So you had the crush on this guy in Jericho and there was never a moment ever where you tried to say anything or do anything or
I mean, it was such a different world back then. I mean, like now, like they are, everyone's out of high school. Where I mean, it's such a like even in those, I don't know, it's been 5 years, whatever. Like it's changed so much so quickly. Like nowadays, like there's so many queer people on TV. Like back then, there really wasn't. Like maybe one or two. Like there wasn't as much as it is now. My little sister's in middle school now, and she's like, I'm like, are there gay kids in here? She's like, yeah, there's so many people are out. Where in me, like there was none.
you were working you just kind of buried the lead. You were working on a farm in Italy.
So I did this thing called Workaway. It's like kind of like woofing. So basically, you find a random family. So there's so many different opportunities you could do. You can like go farming. You could teach English to kids in Zimbabwe. Like there are thousands of opportunities. And I've been acting my whole life. I've never really had any other job, thankfully, and also unthankfully, because like I feel like I haven't experienced that much outside of this industry. So I, with all the strike and everything coming up, I was like, I wanted this the best opportunity for me to go and try and do something that I've never done before. So I went, I signed up on this website, I found this family, and they have their own like organic farm in the foothills of Tuscany. Um, and I worked on their farm for a week. I worked like 6 hours a day and for room and board. And I got to eat dinner with them, breakfast, lunch, learn about their lives, their culture. It was definitely different. There were a lot of, the fucking bugs were a lot. And, I'm from the city. I wasn't used to all that. But it was fun. It was like the best. I felt like I was in Call Me By Your Name. It was like the best thing that I've ever done.
What were you farming? Like, what did they have?
They had like vegetables and fruits and like it's like like I'd have different tasks in the day and like he showed me one time he's like, oh, this is blueberry, and then he'd look over, turn away, and I'd like take one and eat it.
What did you have to do? Like, were you planting stuff? Were you digging?
Everything. Planting, picking weeds, watering, carrying buckets of dirt so they can fertilize. It was everything.
You gotta carry the buckets of dirt so we can fertilize.
And don't eat the blueberries.
Don't eat the damn blueberries.
He got pissed at me because I didn't understand Italian, but I speak Spanish, so it's like somewhat similar. But I kept.
So he didn't speak English.
Huh?
He didn't speak English. You were just guessing of what your tasks
were. So what was what did he get mad at? What was an example of when he got mad when you're with the language barrier?
I don't know what it was, but I remember being in my room and then hearing them speak in the kitchen. And she's like, Mauricio, like saying in Italian, she's like, he no sabe. Like, he doesn't know. And I'm like, they're definitely talking about me. But like so many things, like, like he'd send me down to get like a rake and I'd bring up a bucket. Like a 2-second walk. It's like, going down like 3 levels in full.
How did he say go get the rake? How did he say it?
He would like mime it to me like this.
Well, how is this? I mean, just on his side,
fair,
how is miming this turned into a bucket?
It's not a bucket.
Like this before.
Say something. Go get me. Oh, you want a bucket? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you good at charades?
I don't think so. After this, but they were so lovely, and like it was so out of pocket. Like I didn't know. This is nothing like I've ever done in my life, and it was. I mean, it was, and then they took me one night to this like. So they live in like in the fucking mountains, and all the surrounding farms. Once a month, they have a party. At one of the farms throws a party. And everybody from the surrounding town comes, and they have this like bag. Everyone was like smoking a cigarette. He was like the most Italian, drinking wine and like dancing. It was the most fun thing. I felt so alive.
What time did you wake up in the morning?
I'd wake up at it was great actually. You didn't start work until like 9 a.m. and then you'd work until like 2 o'clock. Then we'd come back to the house for lunch, and they eat like these massive meals, and then I'd go back out for like 2 more hours and then be done for the day. I remember the first day I got there, before work or anything, I just sat down to eat dinner with them, and they brought out this pasta stuff. I was like, oh, okay, great. Eat the pasta, whatever. She said, you want more? I'm like, yeah. So I got full on it. I'm like, all right, I guess it's just this. And then I got up to leave. She's like, no, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And then she brings out this like huge thing of lamb. And she's like, segundi. Like, I'm like, oh, right. Like they do their courses here. They don't just eat it all at once.
Did they know you were a movie star?
They didn't know anything. I kind of
so they were just like, you just applied. You're like, my name's Tyler.
Yep. Nothing. Actually,
was that refreshing?
Yeah. I mean, like, it was in a sense because like I don't think they would have given a shit anyway. It was just such a different way of life. Like there's no like ego and like status, and none of that exists. And I especially felt that when I went to like the party at the farm. Like it was just like it's such a different, like they don't do social media, like it's like they don't live by any of the rules that we live by here in the States. And I always feel that way when I go to Europe. But especially there being in like a rural farm town, like it was just different. Like they just, yeah.
Did you ever did you ever want to kind of be the, I am like, I'm gonna pick this blueberry. Like, did you try to pull that card?
I didn't want them to be able to track me back. So, it was also a safety concern.
Did they have any kids, or was it just those two?
They were old too. They were like they were retired teachers in their like 70s. They had a son who was around my age, and he was also an artist. He was a tattoo artist. He was there for like 2 nights a week, and didn't really get to speak much with him. But, they wanted to learn English. I wanted to learn a bit of Italian because I love Italian language and the culture and everything. It's like one of my favorite countries in Europe. But it was wild, and they had, they drink wine at every meal. And, I was just getting buzzed during lunch, during my working hours for free, kind of. I will say this: the trade-off is not fair. I did it for fun, but like working 6 hours in the gloomy heat in exchange for room and board, they really. At first, I was like, "Damn, I feel like I'm like stealing from them. I'm like to live in this gorgeous house and travel and whatnot for basically for free." But then I'm like, oh, after working 6 hours in the sun, I'm like, it is horrible. It's not the best.
Was there anything like? I remember when I was in high school, if my family went out of town for even a week, that was always the week that there was like a huge party, and I had such FOMO about events. When you were gone for 3 months at a time, were there any big things that you feel like you missed out on by being away from high school?
I mean, not really. I made up for it when I came back. I was also with like my friends and I was with like my favorite people, and living in a hotel in Miami and like going out there. But I will say like parties and stuff, like my parents would go on vacation a lot and I always do parties. So the house across the street from me, it was abandoned because they died in some terrible plane crash. And me and my siblings would throw house parties in their backyard all the time.
It's very respectful.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's what they would have wanted.
That's what they would have wanted.
That's what they would have wanted.
How long was the house just abandoned for?
Basically abandoned the entire time we were living there up until like 3 years before.
But you wouldn't throw them at your house. Would you ever throw a party at your house?
Yeah, I did one time, and I was like afraid that no one would come, so I invited everybody. And then it got so overpacked, and the police came, and I had to shut it down.
Did you get caught? Did the police tell your parents?
My parents were home.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom was kind of the cool one. She kind of like let us have parties, but then they got so bad that all privileges got revoked. My older brother really fucked it up for all of us.
Do you mind talking about your older brother and like it could be?
So when I was filming the first movie with you guys, Sid is Dead, I think we were 2 weeks into it, and my brother passed away, and I think that's why I always feel so connected with you guys. I'm always, anytime I see anything American High, I'm always down because the way that you guys dealt with it, I felt so taken care of, and like I never felt like you got to get back to work. Like it was always like, what do you need? How can we help you? And I'll never forget, I was like floored when I walked into the funeral home and I saw that big poster that everybody had made for me. I don't know. It was just so. I felt so. I mean, Eli picked me up from the airport on the way home when I came back to film, and I just felt so taken care of. And I was even pissed. I was like, "Fuck! I'm missing all the fun shit that we were doing in Syracuse because I was having such a fun time filming. I kind of wanted to get back already." But I mean, it was the most strange part of my life. And then, like when I got crushed, I was like, "Do I really want to go back there?" Because that place is what that was for me. Going back to the Homewood Suites is like sentimental for me because it's a big part of that chapter, that moment in my life. And it was hard. I remember the first day I flew in, I went and I like walked around the hotel room and I walked past like my first room and like I was like, wow, this is the room I got the call in, and like I was walking on the property and like going back to the school. It's like so much of my life my life changed in that moment, but for the better. I think it's one of the most, it is one of the most terrible thing that's ever happened to me, but also the most powerful, positive things that have happened to me, because I do believe that the light enters through the wound, and it's through this tragedy that I have learned how to appreciate life and to like have different values and not give a fuck about, anything. And I not give a fuck about this business or the work or anything. Like, I can like sit at a beach and enjoy a sunset. Like, I couldn't do that before. Like, it just wasn't. It just dropped me into life, and so it was. I'm a happier person because of it. And I think that's like one of the best things about grief is that it can teach you to appreciate life and the little things and the friendships. And yeah, it was a long, crazy experience, and it's been a long journey. And it was so crazy to go back to do Crush, because I kind of feel like I had like kind of did a full cycle. I had completed somewhat of a grief cycle by coming back and revisiting that place. But it was, I mean, the first 2 weeks doing Crush, I was, I'd come home from work and I was a little fucked up, just because I was in the same space I was when I found out. And the first few weeks of grieving were there, and but I mean, I always feel like so indebted to you guys because of just how taken care of I was. I mean, I was also on another show at the time, and none of them had reached out to me, and like none of them had, like, you guys were like there for me, and I will always be indebted. I remember when that reporter came to, I think I said it when the New York Times reporter came. I think that's why I was like, oh, I'll praise American Pie, like let me talk to them. And I think I mentioned this to her as well.
Well, thank you for sharing. There's obviously like a
Thank you.
crazy time in your life, but I remember, I just remember how Eli and the cast, like how everybody was just like no, everyone was like, who cares about this movie we're making? Let's like, this is crazy. So thank you for sharing. I would also point out that I noticed a difference in your confidence.
Yeah.
From Sid is Dead.
Yeah.
Going through this journey and then coming back, there was a level of confidence as an actor that was like, it was really like, it was really great to see. Can we talk about, like, I think it was a week or two before, are we able to talk about this? Like the night that we went out at the retreat?
My 21st birthday was in Syracuse, and the fucking lake. It was freezing balls.
Oh, that's right.
At 6 a.m. We filmed during the day. Then we went to it wasn't the retreat. The first place we went to was like, we were filming at some bar or next to a bar. We went there and all took shots. And then the next night, you guys took me out for my...
we had to do it properly.
Yeah. You took me for my 21st birthday. And I mean, if you want to talk about all the places we went to, you can...
Well, I have some memories. I have some memories of that night that were a little bit foggy, but I remember we had a really good time.
Yeah.
There may or may not have been an incident at the retreat involving lots of balls.
Yeah.
Lots of balls. I remember us going to an entertainment. I don't remember what it was called. Do you remember what that place was called?
Oh my God! You know who puked in the...
Oh yeah, we know. He was
someone puked in the car.
Someone
we went to a gentleman's club. It's quite the night.
And then, oh my God, I think someone couldn't get in.
None of us could get in. If you remember, the guy saw all of us get out with one person throwing up and was like, "None of you can come in." And Jeremy goes, "Watch this," and pulls the guy aside, and we're all standing, like 10 of us, in a parking lot wondering what's happening. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, everyone's in for free.
The best thing is, you brought me out to a strip club, and I'm gay. I didn't even give a fuck about any of this. And it was the funny thing. It was so bizarre and wild.
It wasn't about the destination. It was about the journey. And it took us all night to get there. And then we got there and pretty much left.
Closet at the time too, so it was like even more funny looking back at it.
When was it that you did come out? It was post Sid. It was after your brother. Like,
Well, I came out like to friends and family and stuff. Like I was out, like I was already out like before we did that. I mean, I've been out since I was like 18, and I do I want to say a story?
yeah.
Oh yes.
I mean,
Say it.
I lost my virginity in Rome. My grandma took me as like a senior present. Like I graduated high school and we flew to Rome. I was with her and her friend, and we flew from New York to Rome. I slept the whole flight, woke up in Rome. I was like full energy, and she's old, so she's like, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm tired. So I went out by myself. I was like, no one will know me here. And this is like before I came out. And I lost my virginity to a bartender, and he gave me this little locket. He's like, don't ever forget me. Of course, I fucking lost the locket.
Oh no.
Then I came out to like my friends and my family after that.
How did you lose the locket?
No, it was in my book bag, and I can't find it.
Did you hide it because did you secretly like hide it because you were afraid to like anybody? You just put it in your book bag and you were like,
and I kept it in my book bag, and then it's gone. I don't know where the fuck it is.
Follow-up question. Did he have a locket with a picture of himself in it?
And
just
you-
ready to
and
go?
you-
Yeah, who was
Here
in
is
the
a
locket?
with a photo of me and you, Tyler.
When did you make this?
He was kind of waiting for this to happen. I don't know. I don't know where the locket is.
What was the bartender's name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was
And-
described in the locket, but I lost it.
And was that a part of the reason for maybe wanting to go back to Italy and become a farmer? Because maybe you'd run into him and
Maybe. I was hoping I'd find him again, but didn't.
How did you do? Did you go to a gay bar, or you just went into a regular bar?
There's like a gay strip of bars. I googled
Okay,
it,
got it.
found it, and went there. And I made out with like a bunch of guys that night. It was like the gates had been lifted at night.
What year was this?
2016, 2017.
Okay, so if you are listening to this and you were a bartender in Rome in 2017, please reach out to what address? You want to give your phone number, Tyler?
Slide into my DMs and I'll.
There you go.
Slide into Tyler's DMs. The way you started this story, I thought it was going somewhere completely, because you started the story with, should I tell this story? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is how I lost my virginity. My grandmother gave me a gift for my 18th birthday.
Oh
I
my
was like,
Where would you go with
oh
it?
my god! I was literally like, "Oh my gosh!" Tyler's grandmother got him like a hooker, and like for the birthday.
No.
But your story is much better.
Yeah.
And sad.
Yeah, because I lost the locket and never found them again in my life.
I'm assuming this was an incredibly impactful moment in your life, correct?
I mean, it was affirmation of like, yeah, I do like dick. Like that's, you know what the funny thing is? I eventually went on to do, I was still kind of in the closet, and then did American Vandal, an entire show about my character being obsessed with dicks. And then they had this one segment in the show. I said this to our creator, Tony December. I was like, you didn't know this, but I was in the closet at the time. And you did a whole section as to like, maybe Peter did the dicks because he loves cock. And I was like, they know. And I was like,
They know.
they know. I'm like, they know.
It feels like it's a movie in and of
Okay.
itself.
It's a little call me by your name.
I'm waiting for my leading role in the queer raunchy high school comedy. So now that we're bringing this up, it sounds like we have to do something about that.
Let's do it.
Let's write it.
I think
Syracuse for Italy.
Syracuse for yeah.
Isn't Syracuse? Isn't there Syracuse in Italy?
The lake.
That's
Let's just do that.
Make the lake into being like that. Call me by your name, but
I mean, in all seriousness, we love you. We love working with you. You're incredibly talented, and we would do a million movies with you. So if we find the right project and it's the right thing, like
let's do it.
It was great hearing about how you got to where you are now and all the success along the way. And yeah, like Jeremy said, between Sid is Dead to Crush, it just seems like you're such an energy and a force on set and so comfortable with what you're doing. It's awesome, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me, and
Tyler, with that, thank you so much. It's so amazing to see your face. I really do hope we're going to see you soon in Syracuse. And mwah.
All right. Love you guys.